Welcome to this Fathom interview. I'm Giacomo Giacomo, co-editor of Fathom. Alongside me is my fellow co-editor, Khaled Ben-Dor, and we're delighted today to be joined by Najwa AlSaeed. Najwa is assistant professor at the American University in the Emirates, in Dubai, UAE. She's a columnist for both Al-Ittihad and Al-Hura, and a contributor to the Israeli newspaper Israel Hayom. Najwa, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me and for introducing me.
Let's start with last week's meeting in Saudi Arabia involving numerous Gulf states, plus Egypt and Jordan. Perhaps you could start by explaining for our audience the genesis of that meeting, what prompted it, and what we perhaps learned from it about the participants' various attitudes to developments in Gaza, in Jerusalem, and indeed in Washington.
Well, the meeting in Saudi Arabia signifies coordinated effort among key regional players to address the ongoing crisis in Gaza and also the other issues. If you'd ask me what does it reflects growing consensus among Gulf states, Egypt and Jordan, that stability in the region is paramount, and that any post-war settlement may align with the strategic interests. Well, if we've analyzed what happened lately in the region, which was a consequence of the Gaza war, especially what happened in Lebanon and Syria, it was basically a complete weakening position of what we call the axis of resistance. So the meeting that happened in Saudi Arabia was more symbolizing and embodiment of the empowerment of the axis of moderation, which includes basically the Gulf states. It is true that there are more countries, I can consider them more access of moderation than others, but in general, the whole Gulf states is considered are considered part of the access of moderation, and of course Jordan and Egypt. So those are the countries that want to show unity and also to show stability. Also, because especially Gaza and Hamas were very much aligned with the axis of resistance, mainly the Iranian regime and Turkey and also Qatar, but here they're trying to join Qatar in that meeting. They want to show this unity, that we are in charge of this conflict, and also we are in charge of supporting the Palestinian people, and more specifically the Gazawi people. So in order not to give chance to the countries of the axis of resistance to fill the void there. So that's why they want to show this kind of unity especially in this conflict. And more state of consensus in order to show the big support, so the countries from the axis of resistance won't be interfering here. They want to be in charge in this position, in this conflict, and solving this conflict mainly.
Okay, thank you so much. So we're recording this in late February. The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has been signed, more or less at the end of the first stage of the ceasefire. And there's all these different kind of plans and talks going around. Obviously, there's the Trump Riviera mass movement of Gazans, temporary, permanent, consensual, unconsensual, etc. Different kind of Israeli ideas. What do you think the Gulf nations would like to see in the so-called kind of day after in Gaza? And if we could also ask you, certainly in Israel, there are these kind of two different perspectives about public opinion in Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, etc., where one perspective kind of says, it's also in the context of potential Saudi normalization with Israel. What one perspective says, public opinion is very interested in the Palestinian cause. Palestinian state is high up on the list of priorities amongst the public in the Gulf. And the other perspective says people don't really care. They want to normalize with Israel, and the Palestinians are kind of not an albatross around their necks, but it's something that they maybe kind of need to formally talk about, but there's not really that much interest in the Palestinian issue. I'd love to get your perspective on both of those things, on strategically what the Gulf nations would like to see in Gaza on the day after, and to what extent public opinion is kind of interested in Palestinian statehood.
Well, actually, regarding what the Gulf state want after the stop of the Gaza war is basically aligned with Israel, by the way, which is basically, and I think Israel has to take advantage of that, which is seeing Gaza after with the status of post-Hamas stage, and they want a leadership there, which is non-Iranian aligned leadership that integrates Gaza into regional economic framework. So the main difference between the axis of resistance and the axis of moderation, that the axis of resistance is very practical. The axis of moderation is more pragmatic, and they're more into development and mainly economic development. And they are, when I say pragmatic, which is not which is the opposite of being ideologue. Ideologue, which means those who are like insisting that they want to wipe out Israel from the map. The axis of moderation is totally the opposite of that. Look, Israel exists, and you have to accept it. Okay, the fact that we are supporting your rights, that doesn't mean that we want to wipe out the existence of Israel. So you have to accept this. If Hamas was there, they will never reach to any kind of solution, because Hamas is completely ideologue leadership. It is completely aligned because with the Muslim Brotherhood, and also with the axis of resistance, and mainly the Iranian regime. The fact that the axis of moderation countries, including the Gulf states and also Jordan and Egypt, are aligned and showing unity, because they want to put a block to the countries of resistance, because the more those countries are involved, there will never be solution. And at the end, when we say there's no solution, at the end who will lose eventually, it will be the Palestinians, because if you don't have a true right leadership, competent leadership, and that take charge and serious and completely pragmatic, at the end, if you are worried about the displacement, eventually there will be displacement. Because when you don't have a competent leadership that is completely ideologue and assigning with them and aligning with those countries, what we call them revolutionary countries, and more, which is the opposite of the evolutionary approach of those axes of moderation, they will never reach to a solution. So if you are against the displacement, if you have such leadership, eventually you will be going to that, because there will be no solution, and that will be the only thing that is available. So so the first thing will be a replacement of Hamas, definitely, or maybe there won't be Palestinian alternative immediately. Accordingly, here what we need in the beginning, at least in the beginning, international oversight, which we need more backup from the Arab League, from the UN, whatever, that ensure the governance. Because what basically the Palestinians in general, throughout history, what they're missing is competent governance, whether from Hamas or even from the Palestinian Authority. This is what they're missing. So we couldn't imagine if Hamas completely is gone, there will be completely unified and competent Palestinian leadership. So in the beginning, we need stages for that. The stage will be international oversight to maintain the right governance for that. And maybe we need here, because due to the geographical map, we need more of the Egyptian and Jordanian role here. They might agree, for security coordination. For example, Jordan can serve as diplomatic bridge for Palestinian factions. Egypt, however, and both countries like Egypt and Jordan will be cautious, but and also Egypt might be playing a role in that also as being playing a role in coordination and bridging also the security gap and everything. But also those countries do not want to be involved too much because they are afraid that direct involvement will actually cause them problem inside their country, instability. So that's why we need international oversight. I really encourage even the involvement of the Arab Gulf states here, because they are at least they are far away from the borders, so they might be over they might be seen as more neutral. A neutral object here, rather than being biased or anything. And they don't have common borders with Gaza, so they won't be worried that much about the security issue. And then after you maintain the security and finish the stage of gradual governance and the security, and I'm mentioning them so quickly, like the toppling of Hamas itself will take time. After that, we talk about Gulf-led economic development. But you couldn't start with the Gulf-led economic development without the evacuation of Hamas completely from Gaza. This is the first thing. In my point of view, if they don't do that, we will never accomplish anything. Nothing. It's not only a concern of Israel, it's even concern of anyone who's genuine to solve this Palestinian cause and Palestinian issue. Without the toppling of Hamas, Hamas should be gone. What happened on October 7, they have to pay the price of it. If we were compromising with them before, now no compromise. Because by doing this savage work, you have to pay the price. The price that you should pay, that took us, backward, you should pay it. You should be gone. And we know, everybody knows, that they're doing that in order to embarrass Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia at that time was in the stage of giving solutions, and they were like want to go ahead with agreements, and they want to do that to take Saudi Arabia, to embarrass Saudi Arabia, not to do that, and also to take us to the box number 1. So they can what they call delay this kind of bias normalization, whatever they call it. No, you're the one who's going to pay the price. It's not us. It's not the peacemakers who are going to pay the price. Because you're doing that to get rid of the peace agreements, and you should be paying the price. Because when you stepped for that, you didn't take my opinion. So why you want me to compromise with you? You didn't take my opinion. So stage number 1 after the war in Gaza, number 1, security, number 2, economic development. But there won't be any kind of development without the security. And number 1 security part is the post-Hamas era should be starting.
Thank you, Najwa. Just to come back in a second on the second part of Kalev's question, referring to kind of public opinion in the states in question. But I just would like a point of clarification, if you may, which is that in addition to the united fronts against Hamas, the Iranian axis, that the states of this summit are also united in a rejection of, at least as explicitly proposed, the current Trump plan, which on the terms of it includes for the possibility of the forcible expulsion of the people of Gaza. This is correct, right? That this is not being considered by the leaders at that summit.
Yeah, of course. Of course it is not considered. You saw the outrage. How was it publicly and also as leadership? Because first of all, this is as if you want, because if they accepted this kind of proposal, that means that whole Palestinian cause that lasted for almost 80 years, it will be just blown up. The other thing, it is kind, there's kind of misindignity of the Palestinian people and even to the Arab people. Yeah, just get out of this place and we will find you another place. Culturally, in the Arab culture, land is very precious. It's part of my dignity. It's part of me. I couldn't just leave it because it's ugly and insecure to go to somewhere else, even if it is heaven. So this is number two. However, in my point of view, and I feel that I see that it's my own view. It's not representing the views of the leadership. Of course, the leadership, all the Arab leaders are against it, because that will actually harm their credibility as peacemakers and solving the problem. And accordingly, that might make Hamas and others who are anti-peace fall in the box of the Iranian regime and the axis of resistance. And that's what the axis of moderation countries really do not want to see this happening. So, but at least there must be like stages. Look, we have to do that. We have to do that. We have to do that. If you did that, again, I'm repeating what I'm saying. If you don't follow this kind of agreement, and after a lot of meetings and a lot of discussions, even with other Palestinian leaders and other international leaders and Arab leaders, and of course the US and the Trump administration, if you don't follow those things, at the end there will be no choice for us. I will be in the corner and can do nothing for you except your displacement. And here comes the Trump involvement. So the Trump solution can be, it won't be, we won't get rid of it completely. It depends. If my plan of creating a Palestinian state after, especially as I told you, number one, getting rid of Hamas, if this, for example, let's say they said no, we won't go out, even if we make blood, blood of sea of blood. No, and in this case, you're forcing me to accept Trump's initiative, even though I'm against it. But what we can do, because we couldn't move forward if you are here. If you are here and you're insisting and you want to follow and to do the same thing that is happening ages ago, I don't have any other choice. So what can I do? So it won't be gone completely. Depends what is going to be on the ground. Security number one. Let's say, for example, Hamas said no, and then after that there will be the continuing of the war, and at that time, Israel will go aggressively against Hamas because I know Israel is insisting to get rid of Hamas. Okay? During that time, there will be a lot of casualties and a lot of civilians are going to be like risking their lives. Here, how we can rescue them? By that time, we need to accomplish at least part of Trump's plan. If, like, for example, to find them a replacement somewhere else. But honestly, the thing that I'm totally against Trump's plan is the displacement will be in Jordan and Egypt. Why? Because we don't want, in order to solve a problem in a place, to create a problem somewhere else. Those people those countries are suffering from economic problems and security problems. And we know they're afraid that part of those Palestinians who are going to be mingling there are coming, as Hamas. Some of them are Hamas members. They might be united with the Muslim Brotherhood over there, and that will cause chaos and a lot of conflicts inside those countries. And maybe this is one of the reasons that why Egypt and Jordan specifically are so against it, because they're also worried about themselves. They don't know. They're already suffering from a lot of problems economically and security. So I believe even if there's going to be temporal, and I insist on the word temporal, displacement to save those civilians, it won't be in Jordan, and it won't be in Egypt. Definitely no, big no, because they have enough problems. Maybe Qatar will be a choice, for example. Maybe as displacement, maybe outside the region completely. So as a temporal until, because I believe the mission of getting rid of Hamas is going to be really hard. To me, this is the most thing that I'm worried about. I think this is the most challenging thing. Because I don't think they will give up immediately. They have the same mentality as the Iranian regime. Do you think if we think of toppling the Iranian regime, they will surrender completely, even if everything collapses in the country? They won't leave power. I think the same. That's what I'm expecting. Hamas won't leave power easily. I believe they will never accept it. That's my expectation, because I don't think those kind of people, those savage people, will care about their people, and even I don't think they care about having a Palestinian state. This is not their goal. Their goal is dominance and power, because they have this khilafat power. I want to expand that, and after I get, because they are insisting to get rid of Israel, and after doing that, we're gonna spread all over the region. They have this kind of, what we called it, insane nostalgic thinking. I want to be the power, the Khilafat power, or as at least part of it. That's why they are so much aligned with the Iranian regime and with Erdogan Turkey. I'm not saying Turkey, with Erdogan Turkey. That's the main reason. So because they're ideologue, they're not state men. They are they have certain ideologies and they want to apply it. So those kind of people, it's not easy to get rid of them. Because they are working by ideologies, not by practical implementation, and they don't care about their people, because to them what they care about is the spread of Islam, and to them this is the true Islam. So how you can talk or negotiate with such people anyways? It's you're like where we are with dead end with them. But I hope they have at least quarter of humanity, at least towards their people. So to me, what I see, the Trump plan might be implemented, but with modifications depending on what the reaction of the Hamas will be on the security part. That's my analysis.
But not a Trump plan that involves what he describes as American ownership.
No, that will be almost impossible to be accomplished, because there will be a big outrage, and how he can implement it. In order to have this kind of project, you need a stability. Because we said the obstacle of creating a Palestinian state is the absence of governance, and the absence of governance is causing the lack of security. Whom we have? Hamas is terrorists, and we have the Palestinian Authority, which is completely has zero governance. It's weak. So how he can build the huge business economic plan that he wants to be owned by the United States? You need a stability to do that. There's no stability. It's gone. And he also mentioned that in one of his interviews, where there's nothing to build up on over there. It's a failed business. If he wants to think about it as a business-wise mentality, it's not even right business. Where, how you can do it? You couldn't open a company, not building a whole state. You couldn't build a company in unstable region. You couldn't do any kind of investment. So how he can implement his plan? Even if let's say that we agreed upon his plan, just imagine how it can be implemented. It's almost impossible.
Yes, I mean, I suspect he considers it can be implemented by removing the inhabitants of Gaza for whom it's home.
Yeah. Yeah, even if you remove the inhabitants of the civilians, how he can get rid of those the other rebels? It's not easy. Also, this is the main obstacle. This is the main obstacle.
Okay, Kalev, over to you.
Okay, thanks. So I just wanted to push you again in the direction of public opinion.
Oh, okay.
How important is this issue for the man and woman on the street, do you think?
It's very important. Very, very, very important, more than you can imagine. And I believe everything in the Arab world doesn't embarrass the Arab leaders as much as this, Palestinian state. This is one of the main topics that Arab leaders cannot even, some of them cannot even talk about even publicly. Okay, they talk in a very subtle way, or sometimes they don't talk. They talk in closed doors because of the enormous public opinion. Public opinion usually is not created overnight. It's created over years. And actually, unfortunately, the Arab media and the Arab educational system and the Arab societies in general created this kind of public opinion. So for me, for example, I can talk, about this thing openly with you, but I couldn't talk about what I'm saying currently. I couldn't even talk about a lot of things that I discussed right now with you, even though I'm still cautious to the general public, because to them, it's number one. To them, those people are enemies. They're not trustworthy. I'm talking about the Israel. This is how the majority, unfortunately, think. And this is built over ages. It's not like this. So the public opinion is very important. The other thing, why it is important, because throughout all of those decades, the Palestinian cause is actually associated with religion. And with anything that is associated with religion, it makes it very hard for you to negotiate. That means what they're trying to say, if you are with the Palestinian side, you are a good Muslim and you are someone decent and has dignity. If you are not only against, if you are like want to negotiate with the other part or giving chances for both or to equal size, okay, I give this part to talk. Let me talk to the others. You are not religious. You are not Muslim. You don't have dignity. You don't have you don't have honor. You should be shunned. This is unfortunately most of the public people in the Arab world think. I see them much stricter than their leaders. This is how I see it. It's easier for me to talk with the Arab leaders rather than talking with the public opinion. Can you imagine it? I can imagine myself talking openly with the MBZ and MBS rather than talking with the general public, both in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, to that extent. So it is important. It is important. Well, the fact that the younger generation maybe is not that concerned, maybe because there are a lot of things that are worrying the younger generation. For example, in other countries, unemployment, economic problems. Here, for example, in the Gulf, the younger generation is worried about their day-to-day lives. But however, those younger generation are also influenced by the older generation. Why? Why is that? Because when you have a kid and this kid is raised by a father who truly think about that, okay, he will be influenced by his father, even if he doesn't think or care because he wasn't from that generation. and he wasn't from the generation of wars and direct conflicts with Israel. But still, he will listen to his mom. He will listen to his father, to his uncle, the community, and this is how he get the opinion, even if he understand nothing about the whole situation. The third problem also, the third problem, I see it, the voice of peacemakers are very marginalized. Like for me, in order to talk, I need to be supported. I need to be backed up by governments, governments from the region. Otherwise, I will be considered as traitor. I will be considered as agent or double agent, whatever. So, and unfortunately, because I don't, that's why you see very, very, very few people as those peacemakers are aligned with the government. Some of them do not want to be aligned, or some of the people who do not want to be in the front line because they don't want to feel that they are shunned from their societies. And the government is basically selective for those people because they're afraid there will be outrage. So if I want, for example, to talk about this subject to my students, for example, if I don't have the governmental support, I won't be talking. So that's why that makes it even more difficult, because if I'm giving, for example, the authority and I'm given the green light to speak up in public gatherings, at universities, symposiums, lectures, and if I'm giving that governmental support, yes, I will have an influence. And because I might be encouraging other people to be like me. Look, she was rewarded. But if people see me get attacked and I am even constrained at my work, I'm having problems of getting hired in places. And beside the social discontent with me, or the displeasement or whatever, disgrace from the society that I have, how I'm discouraging others to follow in my track. But if I am rewarded and encouraged to do, at least to be given a plan, I can do more. So accordingly, so in this case, when you talk to me about public opinion, if I couldn't talk in the media openly about that, and as a professor, I couldn't talk about that, so how we can influence the public opinion? Only the hardliners can speak. So because this is how you create public opinion on the ground, and in the media, and in the educational system. Moderate people like me, and who are pro peace and solution, are not allowed to talk. And even socially, I couldn't talk to my family because since the majority of the public are against it. But if I'm supported, it's different. So that's why the public opinion matters. It does matter. The majority care about it, and care about it. I wish they care about it from a logical and rational way. I see it quite very biased, based on race and religion. It's not even rational. If it was rational, I can understand. It's completely, I see it based on religion, based on race. They're Muslim Arabs, we have to side with them regardless of what. For me, no, I'm siding with you, but you have also to do the right thing. If you're not gonna do the right thing, I'm sorry, how can I support you? I'm looking to them as my students, I'm supporting you if you work hard. If you don't work hard and you just want me to pass you because you're from my religion, or I'm not gonna pass you, sorry. Do your homework. And then after that, I can support you. Now, the maximum thing that I can do, just be quiet, passive. What can I do?
That's really fascinating. Thank you, Najwa. Just one last question, and it's, I guess, kind of a clarifying question. You've said to us, first stage in Gaza, security. Second stage, economic development. But there's a pre-first stage, which is kind of the axiomatic assumption is none of this can happen as long as Hamas stays in power. And then you've said, you don't really see, and I'm based in Jerusalem. I also don't really see, you don't see how Hamas leave Gaza, because why would they? Because of Islamic revolutionary, maximalist, caliphate, whatever. So it's as if we've got this lovely kind of castle that's getting built with different blocks, but the most basic one we don't have. So how do we move forward?
Well, this is what I told you, that we have to put a plan A and plan B. Plan A, we want to do that. If we don't do that, and this comes the Trump's initiative. You know what I mean?
As in,
Because
plan A is you, Hamas, need to leave Gaza.
no matter
Plan
what,
B is if you don't leave, the war is going to continue. It's
and
going to
more
be fought
aggressive,
in
what
an
you
even
see
more
is
aggressive
nothing.
way.
Yeah, it's what you see is nothing. What will come is even worse. Don't move back and forth and whatever. You have to go, whether you like it or not. Yeah, you know, this is there's no negotiation. There are certain things you can negotiate about it, but there are certain things you couldn't negotiate. Hamas must go, like it or not. If they don't go with the negotiation, they go by force. And the force that they saw the past months is nothing comparing to what will happen now. Go and leave. That's it. That's it. We don't want to keep going on in this conflict until the day of judgment. You must be aggressive in certain points, especially with people like this. Those people do not understand diplomacy. They don't understand negotiation, and their mindset will never ever change. Anyone who thinks that radical groups like Hamas will change is either naive or they are helping them, indirectly. They will never change their mindset. They want to get rid of Israel. This is what they think about. This is what they want. And even if they did that, let's say that they fulfilled their dream, and are they going to be capable of running a state or creating a state? No. It's going to be safe haven for terrorists, where that will spread all over the region. And that's what I'm worried about. Why am I against them? Because I know if they stay, this is not only will have an impact on Israel, it will have impact on the whole region. It will be safe haven for terrorists, and they will feel much more proud. Look what we won. Look, until now they're saying, without having any kind of respect to the minds of people, that they won the war. For God's sake, what winning? Imagine if I negotiate with them after that. So, no, they have to go. They have to go. Well, if not by peace, by force, aggressive force. There's no other solution. No other solution. And it will be, unfortunately, I feel sorry for the civilians. I feel sorry for the civil, and that's why I'm saying with such people in power like this, those who are going to be paying the price are the civilians. Accordingly, if they reach to that point and didn't leave peacefully, in this case, we will actually try to accomplish, or like part of Trump's initiative will be actually applied. If it's not with modifications, I mean, regarding the displacement, because how we don't want those civilians to just give their blood in vain because of such radical groups like this. Why they will sacrifice for such group.
So to be clear, Najwa, you're talking about the potential. You're advocating for the full and complete defeat of Hamas, and to prevent that having an even further devastating effect on the civilian population that has already suffered hugely. You are proposing a temporary evacuation of the civilian population. Is that?
Yeah, because look, I'm not supporting that, but Hamas will make us all agree on this because it will go dirty, unfortunately. They don't want to leave. And we all agree, even the Arab League agrees up on that Hamas must go. So what we can do to make the civilians die and tortured? No. Yani what we can do. Hamas is forcing us for this, for Trump's initiative. It's not us. It's not even Trump himself. Hamas is forcing us for that. And those who are supporting them. What we can do. We will see. Hopefully they will, use their brain a little bit. But I doubt it.
Okay, Najwa AlSaeed, on that somber and dramatic note, we'll leave it there. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for this discussion.